Hello and welcome back to another FPL video. Now in this video we're going to be talking about our transfer plans for game week 23. Now in the last couple of days double game weeks have been announced for game week 25. So again, in terms of plans thinking ahead, this is another thing we have to think about, as there are a few teams that are now going to be blanking in 25 and there's going to be others now that are going to be double game weeks for 25, which is a massive change now. So we've only got 2 weeks until then, so and if you're like me, you've only got one free transfer, you've not got a lot of room to wriggle. Looking ahead though to game week 23, where there's 2 double game weeks in Arsenal and Man City, I do have 5 players currently playing for that game week, so I'm in a pretty decent position there. And looking at my team as a whole, I'm pretty happy with it, to be fair. Starting lineup wise, bench wise, obviously Mudryk, I could get rid of him and swap him for a certain player in an Arsenal team straight away, or I could keep him. Difficult decision there. And my other 2 bench players are 2 players that are making me wish I could just wildcard right now. I mean, I can wildcard. Would I wildcard? Probably not. I want to hold off that for now. But if I'm desperate, I will have to do it. But looking at the rest of the team, I'm pretty happy with it on paper. So like I've just said, there's going to be a double game week in 25, and one of those teams is Liverpool, which for me personally, I feel like this has thrown a massive spanner in the works. Currently, I personally have no Liverpool players in my team whatsoever, but for that game week 25, I feel like I need to at least have minimum 2 of them. It's really frustrating because Liverpool, obviously in past seasons, they've been unbelievable. Salah smashes it, Trent smashes it, Robbo smashes it, but this season they have been absolutely dreadful. They've been shocking. They've just been battered 3-0 by Wolves. So you'd think, why do I want to have a Liverpool player? Well, like I said, last season, the season before that, they've been amazing. I think back to last season when I triple captain Salah, he absolutely smashed it on a double game week. This double game week they've got in 25 coming up. Crystal Palace away. Wolves, I know they've just been beaten 3-0 to at home. That, to be fair, that's a decent double game week, I think. Now, obviously, before that, we've got Everton at home, which is a derby game. That's a tough game. And 24 is also Newcastle away, a tough game. So they have 2 tough fixtures, really, before game week 25. So you could probably want to hold off until then, maybe. Or you could think about bringing one player in, maybe. Maybe you want to bring a Salah, which I probably wouldn't recommend right now. Because obviously, if you think about it, if you got, let's say, KDB instead, he does have a double coming up, so you probably want to hold off for 23, and then maybe you just want to take the quick switch from KDB to Salah straight away. But then you got other notable players like Nunes. Yes, he's not firing all cylinders. He's been pretty shocking in terms of scoring goals, but taking shots, he's been phenomenal, really. He's had so many shots in goal. Maybe in this double game week it could really pay off. Obviously Trent Alexander-Arnold, Cancelo's gone now, so you've probably got extra money in the bank. You've had to sell him. Who would you want to go for? You could get another premium defender and go for Trent. Yes, Liverpool are terrible though in defence. They are absolutely shocking, especially with Van Dijk also being out. That does not help at all. But Trent Alexander has a wonderful left foot. I was going to say left foot. He's got a wonderful right foot. He can get crosses in, create assists. He used to score the odd goal. He hasn't really done that this season, especially with the free kicks anyway. But yeah, Trent Alexander, that's definitely a gamble. And then obviously Gakpo, also a gamble. 7.7, so since he's actually joined Liverpool, he's already gone down 0.3. He has been a little disappointing. The whole Liverpool team has been disappointing. So why would you want to get any Liverpool players? Double game week 25. It can make a big difference. If they, just alone, game week 25, absolutely smash it in both those games, and you've got none of those players, that could really affect your rank. So, realistically, for game week 25, I personally would want at least 2 Liverpool players by then. Next up, another team who's got a double game week that was announced for game 25, and that is, of course, Arsenal. Now, to be honest, I didn't want to mention Arsenal in this video, but when this double game week announcement was announced, I can't avoid it. You can't avoid it. So now they've got a double game week coming up in 23, which is what we've got coming up. So that's decent. You want 3 Arsenal players probably for that. Game week 24 is Villa away. Now Villa aren't the easiest team. They just conceded anyway, 4 goals to Leicester. So imagine what Arsenal can do. They probably can do something similar. And then they've got a double game week in 25. So really, you want 3 Arsenal players. Now most people probably already have 3 Arsenal. Some people might just have 2 Arsenal. Realistically, I mean, I've got right here. I've got 3 attacking options and a defensive option. First up, the defensive option is Saliba. He's 5.3 million. Now you could go for Gabriel. I think he's 5.2 million, or you can go for Ben White 4.7, and there's obviously Zinchenko at 5. Now the problem I think with Ben White and Zinchenko, they're both rotational risks, so they could easily be subbed for one game. So that's why they're not in here for now. And then yes, you can go for Gabriel. I just prefer Saliba at the back. Yes, he's 0.1, but that's really nothing. But personally, I'd probably look more towards having 3 Arsenal attackers than having a defensive option. So obviously you got Martin Odegaard, who's been on fire this season, the captain of Arsenal. He's guaranteed to start every single one of these games. It seems like an obvious decision. Obviously he's one of the highest points earners in the game so far. If you don't get him now, he's more than likely going to go up in price again. He's absolutely smashing it recently. So he's somebody for me as well, who I'm definitely considering. Obviously, I went for Mudryk last season. I went for Mudryk last week. And obviously, they're the same price, so I can make that quick switch. So he's somebody you should definitely consider. Saka, 8.3 million. He's hot and cold, I think. I don't know why I say that. He's actually been on fire this season, but obviously he didn't. But Arsenal have just lost 1-0 to Everton, so you can't really forget that. And Saka wasn't really in the game that much. Can he bounce back against Brentford? Of course he can, but Brentford, to be fair to them, are a really good team. So, I mean, I think they're unbeaten in like 9 games now, Brentford, and they've played, I think, 3 of those top 6 sides. So, that's not an easy game. I know it's highlighted as green, but that double game week for 23 is pretty difficult for Arsenal, to be fair. And I've just lost 2 in the bounce, lost in the FA Cup, now we've lost in the league, and now I've got a double game week, which is a pretty tough one. But obviously 24 and 25, those fixtures look really good. So if you don't want to have 3 players for Arsenal, that's understandable for 23. But when you get to game week 24 and 25, realistically, you want 3 game week players. And obviously that last player there, Eddie Nketiah, 6.7 million for a striker, top of the league. Perfect. That's what you want. He's going to play every game until Jesus is back. We've still not heard anything when Jesus is going to be back. I think they said probably end of the month. But those fixtures fall around then as well. So it's a tough one, to be fair. Because if we get news that Gabriel Jesus is going to be back for 25, then your head might have to turn and maybe take out Nketiah, because he will be dropped for Jesus. Now, obviously, you've just seen those Arsenal players I'm recommending that you probably bring in. Obviously, Martinelli, he wasn't on that list. Now, he is currently in my team, personally, and this is what I'm thinking as well. Now, he's 6.6 million at the minute, and he's 40% owned, so he's still really highly owned right now. But obviously, Arsenal have bought in Trossard, so now his minutes are going to be managed. He's not going to be playing 80 plus minutes every game. So you look at the doubles in 23 and 25, I reckon he's going to start one of each of those. I think Trossard will come in and play the other games. So he's not, in my opinion, I don't think he's going to be a guaranteed starter. Now, he's not got any returns now in the last 3 games for Arsenal, so that doesn't help you either. He has scored 7 goals, he's got 5 assists this season, he's done really well, he's averaging just over 5 points per match. So he's had a really good season so far, but now Arsenal have brought in Trossard, it does look like he's going to be in and out of team now. And out of those, particularly the 3 attackers that I mentioned earlier, he's definitely the 4th best option out of 3, including them 3. So that's why I think maybe it might be time to look at selling Martinelli. But if you don't want to, that's fine. Maybe you don't want to make a straight swap. Maybe you've got, let's say you got 2 Arsenal players only now. you don't really want to get rid of, and one of them is Martinelli. You don't really want to sell him and then get two. It just doesn't seem right, does it? So if you've not got him, don't go for him. If you have got him and you've got 3 Arsenal players, maybe you just want to sell and get a different Arsenal player. But if you've only got 2 Arsenal players, I'd probably, and he is one of them, I'd probably look at keeping him for now. But obviously, if he, let's say he's dropped for both of those games in game week 23, it will definitely be time maybe to get rid. Kevin De Bruyne is on here next as a player I'm recommending selling. Now, yes, they've got this double in 23, so I 100% understand people are going to, myself included actually, will probably keep him for 23. But looking ahead, I mean, 24 and 25 does look really nice, to be fair. Why am I thinking about selling him? Well, we all saw the game the other night against Spurs. He was dropped. He was on the bench. Now, I don't know what's going on with Man City at the minute. Obviously, they've got worse things outside of the club where they've obviously been cheating for God knows how long, allegedly. But on the pitch, I don't know what's going on with Pep Guardiola at the minute. He keeps trying to, he's overthinking it, I think. And he's just replacing players that have done so well for him, bringing on other players. Let's face it, he's now trusting, apart from Mahrez, I'd say. I think these other ones that are coming on, they're not really doing that great for these other players to get dropped. So, don't really know what's going on. Obviously, for me, I think Kevin De Bruyne has been a right miserable git ever since the World Cup. He's not really returned. It's been amazing, really, has he? So, he's somebody I look at. Obviously, like I said earlier, Liverpool have a double game week in 25. They're around the similar price range. Obviously, Salah's just a little bit more, but the best way to get Salah would be selling Kevin De Bruyne if you have him in your team. So that's why I've got Kevin De Bruyne down here as a sell for now. And finally, Bruno Fernandes. Now, if you noticed from the start of the video, when you looked at my team, all 3 players that I'm recommending possibly selling, I own them all. So this does not bode well for me, really, does it? But yeah, I've got Bruno Fernandes here. He's just coming off of a double game week. We've not seen the second game yet, but obviously got that penalty in the first game, which is great. Leeds away, 23. Got Leeds again. Not a bad fixture for him. Then Leicester at home in 24 is not a bad fixture again. But 25 is a blank and 26 is Liverpool at Anfield. That's why he's down here as a sell. If you want to think ahead, let's say get an Arsenal player, 3rd Arsenal player, or you want to get a 3rd Man City player, or even if you just want to go for get one Liverpool player in early, maybe it's good to just sell Fernandes now. Obviously, there's no double game week coming up. The blank in 25 is big. You don't want him on your bench, or most people are going to have 3 United players right now. You're going to have Fernandes, Shaw, and Rashford. You're not going to sell Rashford because he's in the form of his life. So you might be happy for him for 1 game week to be on the bench. You might want to sell Shaw. I'd recommend probably selling Shaw. But you definitely got to think about selling Fernandes. Just purely based on the fact that he is the highest priced out of the 3 as well. He's just under £10 million. So you could really do a lot with that 10 million. There's a lot of players that you could probably replace him with. Like I've just said, all those players that I've mentioned beforehand, except for obviously Salah, he's more expensive than all of them. So you can take him out. Let's say you want to take him out, you get a cheaper midfielder and you get rid of your striker and you put in Núñez. Bang, there's a Liverpool player. You want to take out Fernandes, you can get an Odegaard, you can get a Saka. They've all got double game weeks, so yes, those 2 fixtures in 23 and 24 are pretty decent for Fernandes, so I can understand if people want to keep him for those game weeks. But looking at another hand, there are players just as good fixtures maybe, but they have double game weeks, so that's why I'm probably recommend to just selling Fernandes now. And there you have it. So those are my transfer plans that I'd recommend anyway for game week 23. Now, if you think there's any players that maybe I've missed off that you think maybe I should probably consider putting in my team, for example, let me know, I'm always interested to see who I've missed out. I know I've not mentioned like a Mahrez or something like that, but for now I was focusing more on bringing in these double game weeks for 25 coming up, getting in early on them. So anyway, I hope you liked that video, and please don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all on the next one.